Welcome back into another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. I am your co-host Corey Kennan alongside James Foster once again. So let's talk about it here. We got some Dafter draft today. It's been a couple weeks since we've done a Dafter draft. We did a mailbag last week, a mock draft the week before that. So it's time to get some hot takes out in the universe. We crowdsourced through Twitter and through Discord and pulled out some hot takes here for you guys that we're gonna sift through one by one. Some of them are hotter than others. We'll see.
Some of them were too hot for
So a lot of them were
consumption.
too hot. Yeah, there were some really wayward ones that we had to keep in the holster for sure. Yeah, for sure. But
we appreciate it because honestly, some of these really got my brain working, caused me to go back to the tape on a couple guys, gave me some new players that I watched. So appreciate all the contributions.
Indeed. So let's dive in. We got like 8 here, so we get quite a few. The first one comes from my Discord server, the Daft on Draft Discord server, from the Cloud Guy. Dafter draft, more linebackers get drafted in the first round than corners.
So I was looking at this before we started recording, and I think I'm going to daft this, even though I appreciate the shout. Like, I think it's a good call, but I think it's a little bit too rich for me personally. Now, this is assuming that everything goes smooth with Jermon McCoy's medicals. But I think he and Mansour Delane, I would say, are locks for the first round. And then I think the way that Avion Terrell is playing, just even though I don't know that he has the most upside or really like the high-end physical traits, but I think the consistency combined with the lack of true first-round talent in this class, I feel like, I don't know, a 75% shot that he'll be a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at linebacker, then it's Sonny Styles, TJ Allen, and Arvell Reese, and I don't see a lot of upside past that because as much as I like Jake Golday, I don't know that he's a first rounder. So whereas I think with corner, I think it could surprise and maybe there's a fourth guy that emerges.
Who would that fourth guy be for you? Colton Hood, Will Lee, Keith Abney?
It would be Keith. Well, I have Keith Abney at 36. I've got Chris Johnson, 46. And then I've got Will Lee, Colton Hood, Julian Neal, Jermaine Matthews Jr., all in the top 75. After that, it's a huge drop-off, though, at corner.
Yeah.
I will say.
Yes, I would agree with that. I really think it could be 3 and 3.
Yeah, that's why I think the most likely is 3 and 3, so that would fail in that case.
So I guess you would daft it in that case, yeah.
Yep.
If it is 3 and 3. But I do think Reese, Allen, Styles, I mean, you can't lock a linebacker in the first round. Probably Reese, but those would be the 3.
Should we do the Sonny Styles Dafter draft?
Yeah, let's do that one. Let's move on. I would like to point out I did see this one on Twitter as well, and it did come from a guy with the Michigan logo next to his name as well.
Oh, really? So, okay.
Oh, yes. So this one comes with a little caveat from that guy who I think just might be a big-time Ohio State hater as well. Yeah, but Dafter draft here, James. Sonny Styles is the most overrated player in the draft currently. Isaiah Simmons 2.0, derogatory in parentheses.
So I would definitely daft that he's the most overrated, but I would also daft that he's overrated. I think he's actually probably underrated.
He's very good
by general consensus. So yeah, no, I think that he is obviously not bust proof or it's hard to say that any college linebacker is a safe prospect, but just because he was a safety prospect in high school, like it's not really an Isaiah Simmons situation. They are like similar physically, but it's not a similar situation as far as like he's, brand new to the position when he gets to the NFL.
Right. Yeah. Like Isaiah Simmons literally didn't have a position in college. Sonny Styles has been playing linebacker. This is his third year playing linebacker now. He played safety as a true freshman. So like, not the same situation
you can dislike Sonny Styles and say like he's a bad linebacker. I guess I would disagree with
But
that. But
then
like,
yeah, then where's the evidence for that?
yeah, but I'm just saying it's like the Isaiah saying he's the next Isaiah Simmons. If you want to make the physical comp, that's okay. But saying he's the next Isaiah Simmons, as far as like, what are you gonna do with him? It's like probably play him at the position
You
he's
play him a
been
linebacker.
playing.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. Completely agree. So yeah, big time Daft on that one as well. All right, moving on here. This one's from Combat Central on Twitter. After draft, James Emmanuel Pregnon should go in the first round. Oregon guard Emmanuel Pregnon, for those not familiar with the name alone. There,
Draft.
are you
I'm a
serious?
I'm serious. Yeah, Emmanuel Pregnon is my number one guard. I think he's a player that checks every box, especially compared to Vega, um, who I think would be his closest competition. Um, athletic zone blocker. He is a extremely athletic puller. Like he launches out of his stance. He can drive people off the line of scrimmage because he's so explosive into blocks. In pass pro, he's great with his hands. Really well timed punch, heavy punch. Extremely light feet in pass pro, and he's got recovery ability moving laterally, which I think sets him apart from Vega and some of the other bigger guards in this class. Very alert to stunts. To me, a first round grade is a player that checks every box, and I think that's Emmanuel Pregnon. So yeah, he has a first round grade for me, and he's my guard one.
Fascinating. Fascinating stuff. I would not have. I would have him probably a fringe day 2 to day 3 player.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll have to have some more conversation about that. Um, but yeah, I would daft this one because it's a guard and like guards. I mean, we had what one guard go in the first round this past year?
Well, here's
Donovan
the thing:
Jackson.
the Dafter draft was should go in the first round.
Oh, should yeah. I'm still doubting it.
So
If there's a
this
guard,
is a
in
matter
my
of personal
opinion,
opinion.
if there's a guard in my opinion that should go in the first round, it should be Chase Bazantes.
See, I really like Chase Basantis. To me, Pregnon is about as good in pass pro and gives you way more in the run game. I'm interested what your biggest hangup is with Pregnon, because like when I watch him, it's extremely clean tape. He's got, prototypical measurables: 6'4", 320,
Mm-hmm.
with an 82.5-inch wingspan. That's 88th percentile. Like I don't know. To me, he's an extremely clean prospect, and I wasn't super fond of him back at USC. Excuse me.
Yeah, I wasn't either. Or at Wyoming for that matter. If you want to go all the way back to there, but
Didn't watch him.
um, I think his outside shoulder is soft. I think he's got a really soft outside shoulder.
Okay.
So, and again, at guards, I guess that doesn't make that big of a difference because you're not getting taken outside shoulder a lot playing along the interior. But I don't know if it's a lack of knee bend or what, but I do think there's a little bit of a soft outside shoulder there. And then a little bit of hand grip placement as well. So, those would be my two bigger hangups with Pregnon. And I will say, Bazantes' run game tape against LSU was a lot better than it has been in weeks prior.
Okay, yeah, I need to catch up on the Texas A&M O line. What would you how would you rank the Oregon offensive line
Oh, geez.
between
Uh,
Pregnon at left guard, Isaiah World at left tackle, the center Iapani, and then Alex Harkey, the right tackle? I guess those are the four draft
yeah,
radar guys.
yeah. Harkey's 4. I would probably say Pregnon 3, World 2, Iapani 1.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd have Harkey 4, probably Iapani no, probably World 3, Iapani 2, Pregnon
yeah.
1.
World's tape is just he had a good game a couple weeks ago, but then this past
Yeah.
week was yeah. I don't know what's going on with these tackles. Every tackle tape is just significantly worse than it was last year. So that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, the receivers took all the development this year.
Yep, all of it. All right, next one. Dafter draft James Ruben Bain will end up playing more inside than outside at the NFL level, from our friend Brian Maffey here on Twitter.
So if we were to go back and like score this, in the future, how would we define this? Would we say like he's going to be listed as an interior defensive lineman on PFF
It's a
as
good
opposed to an
question.
edge, or he's going to play more snaps? Because I mean, he's definitely going to line up inside on third downs. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you utilize your best
Let's say
pass
listed
rusher.
position doesn't matter, but more snaps 4 in than 5 out.
Yeah. So I included this because this is a good discussion, I think, to have about if Ruben Bain has what it takes to win the outside track in the NFL. I would probably daft this. When you look at his win rates as far as like distribution of what moves he's using to win, 53% of his wins over the last 2 years have been with a speed move. So cross chop 16 times, double swipe 13 times, one-handed swipe 11 times. Those are his three most common speed rushing moves. You've got his most common move overall is just an inside move at 20. He's shown that he can win the outside track in college. Obviously, it's a different beast in the NFL, but I feel better about him than a lot of kind of oversized, pass rushers of his stature that we've seen in the past. Because I think he is a good athlete.
Yeah, I think he's playing more outside too. Um, just because, yeah, he's a good athlete, and I feel like we've talked about this ad nauseum on this podcast, but like the way pass rushers at the NFL level are winning these days is through the chest. Ruben
Mm-hmm.
Bain wins through the chest. So like the length isn't that big of a hang up for me. It was over the summer a little bit, and mainly because I think he was playing hurt last year because the
Yeah.
explosiveness is way better this year as well. So
If you
the
watch
the
if you watch 2023 and 2025, it looks like one player, and then if you watch 2024, it looks like 75% of that player,
yeah.
basically.
Hmm. So like as long as he can win through the chest, and again, there are some teams that prefer shorter arm defensive ends because they're harder to get out of your chest once they get into your chest as well. So I mean, Hutchinson has 32-inch arms, so like,
Yeah.
and he's got a longer build too. Where it's harder for him to get actual leverage compared to a guy like Bain. Uh, yeah. So I think I would daft this one as well. Next one here, we're gonna go to the offensive trenches. This one is from Arthur on Twitter here, or X, whatever you want to call it. After draft, Caleb Tiernan will be the first offensive lineman off the board, and I'm just gonna daft this like right away. Like I think Caleb Tiernan is a fine player,
Yeah.
but uh, who's drafting a 6'7" guard convert in the first round? Like that, like you mentioned yesterday, like the body type makes no sense. Like 6'7",
The
32
body
inch
type
arms.
the body
It,
type
like
is a
he's not going to play
grok.
tackle at the
It's a
NFL.
grok generated player.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. So like he's fine, but like he's another player with a soft outside shoulder at tackle because he doesn't have any leverage whatsoever at all. Like you just can't when you're that tall and that short in the arms. Um, Again, I think he can be a fine guard convert even if he is a very grok generated guard convert. But like that's not the first offer.
Lead the NFL in passes that ding him on the helmet. Yeah, I'm gonna daft this. Although, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna daft it. But we talked in the last episode about how Caleb Tiernan, like for me, has been a big riser this year, and he's 40th on my board currently. But there are, let's see, 5 offensive linemen ranked ahead of him. Making some assumptions about people returning to school, and then even within that, like Caleb Lomu, I think has a good chance of going back. But Francis Mauanoa, Spencer Fano, Vega, Emmanuel Pregnon, I would take above Caleb Tiernan. I would probably take Tiernan over Proctor. Um, and then
Really interesting. Okay.
yeah, oh yeah. Um, and then I think like Cade Piper, depending on if he continues to play like this for the rest of the year, I think could be in that conversation. And Chase Besantis, who yeah would definitely be there for sure as well.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't think Tiernan was a great athlete on his summer tape, so I'll turn it
Yeah,
back on.
I think he's one of the smoothest pullers, and can get reach front side on zone blocks. Yeah, I think he's a pretty good athlete. To me, like, and I think it's the only way a player of his with his build could get the amount of displacement off the line of scrimmage that he does, which is like because normally these 7-2 guys kind of just lean into the three tech and fall off of it. But he's so explosive into contact that he can really get some displacement.
Okay. We'll talk interior offensive lineman in a week or so once we get through edges this week.
Yes, we
Figure out
will.
what we like. But all right, quarterback time. After draft, James Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson have a chance to be the best quarterback prospects in the last 5 years outside of Drake May and Caleb Williams from Master Legend on Twitter here. Past 5 years.
So I would definitely Daft this. Oh wait, no, never mind. Outside of Drake May. So
Yeah, outside of Drake and Caleb. They had mentioned in the tweet specifically as well that they were lower on Trevor Lawrence than others.
so does it basically come down to Trevor Lawrence then?
Um,
Are we
I
saying
mean,
as are we
personally,
saying
for
as
me, I was also really high on CJ Stroud. So
okay, so we're saying as prospects, right?
yeah,
Okay.
as prospects, yeah, I think it would still be Trevor.
Yeah, I mean it wouldn't be Ty Simpson probably, and I think the reason with Simpson and Moore and Mendoza is that they all just have part of their evaluation clouded either by sample size or by kind of the offense. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think like to me the amount of high quality tape that you had from CJ Stroud and then plus the Georgia game to like verify the out of structure
Mm-hmm.
ability, and then 3 years as one of the best starters for Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, I would daft that for sure.
I would adapt it too. Again, Trevor Lawrence hasn't turned into the pro, and
Right.
like the time is ticking on him to become the guy that everybody thought he was. Like we're in year 4 now, so like 21, 22, 23, 24. We're in year 5, so we're in year 5 now with him. So it's like it's now or never, and it kind of seems like maybe Lawrence is what he is, but like that doesn't prohibit us from like we still can't use hindsight analysis. Like everybody said, Trevor Lawrence was the next generational quarterback.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence looked like the next generational quarterback at Clemson. So like can't do that. Can't exclude that. Outside of Drake May is a good call too because Drake was my 2024 QB1, and that's kind of that's holding nicely at this point. But again, we're
He was mine as well. He's still the highest graded player that I've ever graded. So
oh wow, there we go. Um, and then yeah, CJ Stroud. Man, I love to see CJ Stroud. If you were watching on YouTube, there's literally a jersey on my wall right back here. One of my favorite quarterbacks of all time to evaluate. Just like one of the cleanest processes you will ever see from a college quarterback was CJ Stroud at Ohio State. Like one of the cleanest that you'll ever see. So, yeah, I'm gonna draft that too. So, but that's not to say like we've had the conversation on the podcast. I would draft Mendoza, Simpson, and Moore over any of Ward or Dart last year. So
oh yeah.
that
Would you
that's not
take
to say
Sorsby or Dart? Or I
so.
mean not Dart. Sorsby or Ward. I would take Ward personally.
Um, I think they would be pretty darn similar tiers. Sorsby's a better athlete. Their arm talent and arm velocity is probably net neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Sorsby might generate a little more RPMs on the football than Ward did, but like the arm angle stuff is like identical. Off platform stuff is identical. What I Again, give me another week on Sorsby. I'm so close to just like hammering the green button on him, like hammering home that like, yeah, we're good to go. But one more week before I make too many hot takes. But like, there's a part of me that says like the work that Sorsby does in the pocket blows away anything that Ward did last year from structure.
Yeah.
As well. So I think it's a close conversation there.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit higher on Ward than you, but I was definitely lower on him than consensus. So I think if there was a quarterback, maybe if I get up to your level on Sorsby, then I think I would probably view him higher than I did Ward.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. That sounds
yeah.
Reasonable. All right. This one is about Alabama offensive linemen in general, and I'm actually really excited to talk about this one.
Yeah.
After draft, James, Alabama offensive linemen never live up to the hype.
So,
I mean, we have to draft it, right? If it's phrased this way, like, yeah, they don't.
But the implication.
There is an implication.
That I think I'm gonna make the Dafter draft
well.
the implication of this, which is that we should helmet scout Alabama offensive linemen Dafter draft. Because here's the thing, like philosophically, and when I first started out, like I've always been very firmly, scout the player, not the helmet. Would never helmet scout or anything. But Alabama offensive linemen over the years, I mean, after a while, like y'all are gonna make me start helmet scouting because I can't keep it like attaching my name to these people, and that's like I'm kind of being facetious. I do think I think there are two consistent threads here with Alabama offensive linemen. They have historically recruited way larger than average offensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
To where like I think the issues that exist with Caden Proctor would have existed if he played at Iowa. They would have existed if he went to Georgia. Like, there's no magical just like you go into Bama's facility and all of a sudden you're completely
pounds.
vulnerable to inside spins. Like,
yeah.
There's nothing that magical about that. But so I think that is the first issue, and then they're also a scheme like the majority of college offenses that protect their tackles, like historically protect their tackles from a lot of vertical sets and true one-on-ones. Now I think that's not totally the case this year, and under Kalen DeBoer, but under Saban, it was so much like RPOs and just like duo inside zone. It was like
Steve Sarkisian was the offensive coordinator for.
Yeah, I was gonna. It's like Texas. It's like an Indiana offense. Texas, like it's just in terms of the pass sets that you're seeing. So I do think that it's a clearer evaluation today than it was with like Evan Neal.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think there's also something else that plays into this conversation that kind of precludes Caden Proctor and any other Alabama offensive lineman since Saban's retirement. That I also think that Nick Saban makes his trench players hate football. Like, I think just like the culture at Bama under Saban was like, football needs to be your every waking moment from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. And I think that wears down people, especially dudes who are 300 pounds, right? So like, every Saban offensive lineman that has come into the NFL, it feels like they've been like one and done contract wise, right? Like going all the way back to like Chance Warmaker, Kyron Amadeji, or I don't know how to say that guy's name, but like the guy the Chargers
Cyrus.
Cyrus, yeah, whatever his name is. I can mix him with the Yale guy, Kyron Amagaji. So I do think there's a legitimate argument there that like I think Saban made a lot of players hate the sport.
Mixed results at best.
Jedrick Wills, probably some of the cleanest. Like again, like not a high ceiling player, but a decent ceiling, but like the cleanest offensive tackle tape that you could find of that. Okay, Andrew Thomas, right? But like he went third overall. The cleanest, that was a good.
I still can remember like his sets, like from watching his tape, and like that was early in my evals, and like I remember like Jedrick Wills was one of the first college offensive linemen. It's like, okay, yeah, this is how you're supposed to fire out of your stance, and like the choppy feet and everything. So yeah,
and then he got to the NFL, and I think he got paid, and he's like, okay, I made it. And I think I feel like probably a lot of like the Bengals guy, who the Bengals draft in 2020,
Jonah Williams.
Jonah Williams. Like all of these guys are like one contract, and Jonah Williams did get a second contract with the Cardinals, right?
Yeah,
But like,
and it's been the physical prototypes. It's been the Northwestern prototypes with the short
yeah,
arms. It's like they've yeah. I mean, I mentioned the huge like mammoth offensive tackles
hmm
that they have had historically and especially recently with Latham. Like weight has been an issue for Latham in Tennessee. Um, but yeah, it has kind of affected it with every archetype, and it's bizarre for sure that it's
hmm
I'm I'm rooting for one Alabama offensive lineman to hit so that I can go back so that I can like scout them just normally without having to
yeah,
think about that in the back of my head. But
yeah. So that was my way of saying I don't think Proctor is precluded in this Alabama offensive lineman never lived up to the hype because it feels like the culture under DeBoer is much softer than Saban, for better or for worse, right? But like, I also just don't think that we should be hyping up Caden Proctor anymore as well. So like,
look,
if
you
that's
can
where we want to get with the question,
if you're anti Caden Proctor, like you don't need to pull out the Alabama offensive lineman narrative this year
no,
because it's
he
on
just isn't
tape,
playing good
dude. He just
football.
like isn't
Consistent
playing
football.
well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And like he's had stretches. It's just the overall body of work is not really up to what you're looking for.
yeah. All right, we're gonna stay in Tuscaloosa here for this next after draft. After draft, James. This is from Sorta Morning on Twitter here. Jeremy Bernard is wide receiver 4 in this year's draft class.
So I'm conflicted on Jeremy Bernard because he is very similar. There's a lot of similarities to him as there with Emeka Egbuka, JSN, where the
Mm,
burst and the athleticism just does not pop off the screen. And I think I would exclude JSN from this, but where I see the similarities with Emeka Egbuka is that I think they're very efficient and to the point route runners, but I do think there's room to improve the salesmanship and really maximizing how you're setting up breaks to separate from some of the stickier man corners in the NFL. I still think like both of them have ways to go there. Um, so I feel good about the floor with Jeremy Bernard because he's going to be in the right spot, catches the ball, good after the catch. Um, I wonder about the upside, and to me in this class,
mhm,
he's not going to be wide receiver 4 for me, even though like I do really like what he brings to the table. Uh, when we go Jordan Tyson, Makai Lemon, Carnell Tate, Chris Bell, to me that's a clear top 4. And then I
mhm.
would put Casey Concepcion. We'll see with Chris Brazel if he rounds back into early season form. But like if Chris Brazel gets back to how he was playing for the first half of the year, I would probably put him, you know, in Bernard's tier. Like I think Brazel, Bernard, Boston are kind of fighting it out for 5 through 8.
Yeah. So we've had a ton of conversation about um, that Egbuka, JSN, Amon-Ra St. Brown type receivers and how they're dominating the NFL. And I think Bernard does fit that archetype, but I also think that like he is probably the third best receiver in this class who fits that archetype. So like, how can I put him at wide receiver 4 when he's the third best of that? Like,
Who
I
would be
think
the right?
Makai Lemon, and I think Chris Bell's body type and his ability to explode after the catch. I would include him in that kind of like archetype as well, where you can get him to the ball in space and let him work after the catch. You can run him on a shallow cross and let him work after the catch. You can run a clear out for him and let him work after the catch as well. On top of the comebacks he's ripping off as well,
Yeah.
like stuff like that down the field. So I think that Lemon and Bell both fit, and again, Bell's 6'1" and 227, like, and he's ungodly explosive. So I think that Bernard's probably even the wide receiver 3 of that archetype in this class. Um, So that's me saying I'm going to adapt it to, because then we have the high ceiling guys of Tyson. We'll see how the meds check out on Tyson, because he's banged up again this year, just like every other year of his career. So we'll see how the meds check out there. But then Carnell Tate, the ceiling is through the roof with Tate as well, and his floor is really rising as well, and that's what's most impressive about Tate there too. So I mean, that's 5 wide receivers we just mentioned. So yeah, no, I'm going to draft Bernard as wide receiver 4.
Have you watched Bishop Fitzgerald, the USC
No.
safety?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll answer this one then. So this is from Big LA. Bishop Fitzgerald will be a top 60 pick. I watched him. The flashes that he showed, like he had some incredible plays, 2 interceptions against Purdue. One of them was they were actually both in the red zone. One of them was he used the slingshot technique to like get back in phase, which is where you kind of hold, but you're kind of using the receiver's momentum to help you get your hips turned around as you're transitioning. Some really good stuff against Purdue. You watch him against Notre Dame. He gives up a quick slant touchdown, bounce back with a nice pass breakup. I want to see him show some of the things that he did earlier in the season against better competition. He had a great game against like Missouri State. But so, yeah, I mean, if he looks like that down the stretch, I could get on board with that. I think he's probably more like 80 to 120 if I had to guess based on the 4 games that I watched today.
I've heard that Kamari Ramsey's not playing great football this year.
Okay, I'm a couple weeks behind on paying attention to him, but I thought I thought sort of the opposite. Not that he was knocking it out of the park or anything, but I thought he was playing really well in the USC defense games that I've watched.
Yeah, I like Ramsey a lot. There was even in my Discord a adapter draft about Jelani McDonald being safety 1 in this class. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I'm rising on Jelani McDonald in the safety class, dude. So like maybe up there with like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. So
yeah, haven't watched him yet, but he's been at the top of my watch list for a few days now.
All right. Well, that's it, James. That's all the adapter drafts. That's all the hot takes we got to sort through here. That was some good work.
Yep.
That was some good work.
Great contributions.
All right. Tomorrow we are going to be talking about 5-ish edge rushers, kind of resetting this edge class, 5 to 10, I would say. And kind of thinking about how we're going to reset this class, because it's not a great one. Not a great one. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. But until then, this has been another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast. See ya.